Alright, so, for this episode, it's not all graphics cards. I mean, well, I've opened things that weren't graphics cards in past videos as well. But here we have this bag here. What's something small? So we're gonna snip it open. I wonder what could be inside. What comes in small square packages? It's clearly another graphics card. I was lying. Alright, let's see. Is there a seam to this? Oh, I see tape. Alright. Rolling, rolling, rolling. Aha! It's still a square. And here we have a CPU, clearly. You probably already guessed that. Yeah, socket A. Oh, there's some bent pins on here. I'm gonna have to very, very gently fix that. See, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, a couple bent pins. Only two here. But that's what happens. You know, it was in a bag. You know, stuff's gonna happen. I'm not too worried about that. So this is a mobile processor. This is a socket A Athlon XP based. It's actually a Athlon XP mobile 2400 plus. So, you know, there's a desktop 2400 plus. That was based on the Thoroughbred core with 256 kilobytes of L2 cache. The mobile variant was based on the Barton core. That's 512 kilobytes of L2 cache. It came at different clock speeds. The desktop version was 2 gigahertz. This one is 1.8 gigahertz. So one of my fondest memories of desktop gaming is actually using a socket A system. I remember my motherboard was an 8-bit NF7S. It was a very, very popular N-Force 2 chipset motherboard. A lot of people would actually buy this chip. This was popular among overclockers because it has an unlocked multiplier. Yeah, so at stock it only runs at 266 megahertz front side bus, but you could, you know, overclock it freely with the unlocked multiplier. So that made it really, really popular among enthusiasts. And yeah, this was really cheap on eBay, so I'm going to try to use this in my Windows 98 machine, turn it into the ultimate benchmarking platform for Windows 98. Alright, and now we have a package from Canada. Don't read this part, it's a bit of a spoiler. And now to pull out the dullest knife in the world. And we have packing popcorn and aluminum foil. That's an interesting way to pack a graphics card. Oh, oh, it's so beautiful. Okay, so this is a 9800 Pro. Not just any 9800 Pro. This one's very, very special. This one is a 256 megabyte version of the 9800 Pro. There were numerous versions of such a card, but this one has GDDR2, the same type of memory used in the FX 5800 Ultra. Wasn't a very popular type of RAM for numerous reasons, because it ran super hot. Obviously, it didn't improve the chip density because in order to achieve 256 megs, double the normal 9800 Pro, they had to use twice as many RAM chips. And it ran so hot that they needed little heat sinks on each of the RAM chips. So, yeah, and it's not clocked any higher. This is running at the same 680 megahertz effectively for the memory as the regular 9800 Pro. In fact, probably the more common version of this is one that uses DDR1. and can be found with multiple chips. Matter of fact, I have such a card to show you. This is a 9800 Pro 256 meg with DDR1. Notice it has the same amount of memory chips, but it doesn't require little miniature heat sinks on each one. And so there was really no disadvantage to using this type of memory. Again, it's all at the same clock speed and everything. This, however, is a much later revision. This is a pretty late 9800 Pro revision. I haven't actually lifted up the heatsink, but I wager to say that it's probably using an R360 core, which would be the same core that was used in the 9800 XT. It was a small revision to allow the chip to clock a little higher, but it ended up being used in a number of 9800 Pros in late 2003 and part of 2004 as the R350, the original revision of the core, was kind of phased out. This is, maybe slightly more common to find, still not very common on places like eBay. Now, for those looking at this card and feeling a bit confused, if you've seen some of my other videos, you may have seen this in the background. Well, that's because there is actually two of them. This is actually the first one that actually I own. This one here is one I'm borrowing from a friend of mine, and this one that you've seen in the background of my videos is a non-working 9800 Pro 256 meg. Now, I say non-working even though I haven't tested this one, so I'm really hoping that this also that this does work. But I do know that this one is it doesn't work anymore. So this was one that he picked up. The auction said it was working. Unfortunately, it was not working, but he held on to it anyway because these cards just simply don't show up very often. But yeah, I've got my own 9800 Pro 256 meg GDDR2 edition. Super excited about that. Can't wait to test it to see and ensure that it works. Gently. Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, here we have another box that's already open. Because that's how I do things sometimes. Another graphics card, very vintage. This is a TNT2 Ultra. Yeah, this is a Creative Lab CT6870. Yeah, I went ahead and just bought another one. A number of people have pointed out on the previous video where I talked about the TNT2 Ultra, the first one that I got, in my attempt to fix it. They pointed out that there was a number of resistors and little tiny components, maybe one or two that I missed on there. But to be honest, guys, I'm not holding out much hope that I'll ever be able to fix that. But this one was a good deal on Electromine, which if you watch Phil's Computer Lab, he talks very highly of them, and he's right. They are awesome. Despite the fact that I live in the States and it ships from Germany, it rides very fast. And I actually used his promo code, which is simply Phil's Computer Lab, no spaces, and it gets you 20% off on Electromine. Hey, wait a minute, that's his promotion. Who cares? Phil's a good guy. I'll promote it here too. So yeah, definitely check out Electromine and get your discount code ready, because they got some great deals, and sometimes you'll find things like this that are pretty rare. Yeah, this one was only like $50 with the discount, so I can't complain there. Best of all, this works in my Windows XP system, my Athlon 64 one, not the one that I just built, which does not have an HEP slot. So fantastic. This card is excellent. I've already benchmarked it. Super useful for future video purposes. So there we have it. There's PixelBOX Episode 4. As always, we got some really cool stuff. And actually stick around, because although I'm not going to show this one being tested, this one works just fine. I will show this one being put in for the first time. So fingers crossed that it is functioning properly. Alright, no artifacts in post. That's good. Alright, so it booted up just fine. It's running the drivers and there's no artifacts or anything whatsoever. And just to run a quick 3D test. Alright, we're getting some weird artifacting here. I'm not sure what this is. There's a lot of very shiny artifacts. Actually, this is kind of mesmerizing, but I don't think this is quite right. Alright, the next test to run is 3D Mark 03. The artifacts could be due to the thermal paste drying up, which I've had happen to my other 9800 Pro, the 128 meg version, so I'm going to just run Mother Nature here. This shows right away if there are artifacts. No, there's no issues whatsoever. Nonetheless, it's a good idea to repaste these old graphics cards sometimes, so I'm going to go ahead and do that anyway. Just make sure it gets a nice fresh application so that the cooler is running optimally. This is a very, very hot running card. Yeah, that's really warm. Alright, so my camera lost the footage. I had actually filmed taking this off initially, but I spent like probably, I don't know, 15-20 minutes cleaning the old thermal paste gunk off. It had completely dried and hardened to almost a cement-like state, and there was dust all around underside the heatsink and around the GPU as well. Now they're nice, sparkly clean, and I'm going to put on some brand new thermal paste. Flawless. I gotta admit, I kind of miss the whole disco look, but in place of disco balls, we have correct rendering, so I'll take that. Alright, so that concludes this episode of PixelBOX. I'm going to do some benchmarking of this 9800 Pro. Really excited to have it in my collection, a working one. And until next time, thanks for watching. This has been Pixel Pipes.